need to get Chris to lead us in a verse of a song. That'll bring them in. Except we got to get Chris, don't we? Yeah. He did. Good. Good to see you.
I never cease to marvel at the blessings of the Lord. In wondrous ways He shows His love for me. I always find the answer when I go to Him in prayer. My faithful friend and constant guide is He. Rivers and moving mountains, it makes no difference, great or small, because I'm crossing rivers and moving mountains. God gives the power for it all.
All right. I hope everybody got a donut. I saw there's some pretty good food out there. I asked a sister sitting back there, I said, "Are these real grapes?" She said, "Yes." So I ate one. It's always good to ask if they're real before you pop it in your mouth. You know how that is. Okay, we're going to talk specifically about church growth through the Bible school program. I will tell you that all those congregations that I mentioned that experienced growth was different, something different. Some it was through web network evangelism. Some it was through the sacrificial giving like we did. And some was through what we call household evangelism. And through church growth through Bible school program. So they're all of them have something different, but there's one particular congregation, the one in Tennessee, that we did this. I was getting my master's degree from David Lipscomb at the time, and I had written so many papers. I didn't want to write a master's thesis, and so William Woodson was the head of the department at that time, and I asked Brother Woodson, would it be possible for me to do something other than write another paper? And he said, yeah, you can do a project. He said, that's going to be more work than a paper, though. I said, that's fine. So the project was how to grow the church through the Bible school program. So we had to do the research and write a plan and send it to the Department of Education there at the graduate department at Lipscomb. And they approved the plan. Then it had to implement the plan in a congregation and then report to the committee of what happened. And so it was very, very educational for me, and it opened my eyes to what we should be doing everywhere. I mean, in every ministry. The church's mission is to obey the Great Commission. That's it. That's why we exist, is to share the gospel of Jesus with other people. That's really what it's all about, and you'll see here. Why do we do what we do? You know, we have Bible school. We have programs like 39ers. We have visitation programs. We have benevolence programs. I think I have some listed here. We have youth programs, all of those. Why do we do those? Well, people will give you different answers as to why we do them, but the truth of the matter is we do them all for one specific reason. Everything we do is for the ultimate goal of leading people to Christ. Everything. The visitation program, the benevolent program. Why do we have benevolence? Well, to feed people that are hungry. Yes and no. Well, to give people clothes that are cold, a coat. Yes. And why do we give them that? Why do we feed them? It should be to lead them to Christ. If we have a program where we're feeding people that are hungry and then we send them on their way, we have fallen short of our goal. That's not our purpose. Jesus came in, he could have healed all the sick. He could have fed all the poor, but he didn't, did he? He didn't, because that's not what his purpose was. His purpose, Luke 19, verse 10, anybody know what it says? Jesus came to seek and save the lost. That's what it's all about. And that's why we exist. Everything we do is for that ultimate purpose. You see there in parentheses, I have real estate business as an example. So real estate companies, what do they do? What does a real estate business do? Yeah, they sell property, right? That's it. Do they write books? No. Do they bake cakes? No. They sell property. That's it. They have one goal, and that's to sell property. So what's the telephone for? To help them sell property. What are the computers for? To help them sell property. What's the copy machine for? What's the paper for? What's the ink for? What's the paper clips for? Everything. Everything they have and do is for one thing, for one goal, to sell property. Well, guess what? That's the way we are in the church. We have one purpose, one goal. Jesus said it before he went up to heaven. You teach the gospel to every person, everybody. And he that believes and is baptized will be saved. That's our purpose. That's our mission. So why do we have visitation programs? To lead people to heaven. Why do we have benevolence programs? To lead people to heaven. Why do we have youth programs? To lead people to heaven. You get the point? Everything we do should be for that ultimate goal of leading people to heaven. You see the last statement up there? Evangelism is not part of the program. You know, you see, we list our ministries and our works, and we say, you know, there's an education program, there's youth program, and then there's evangelism. Well, I understand what we're saying, but the truth of the matter is all of it's evangelism. It's all evangelism. It should be. And if you could ever, and I know this is a big ask, it's a big ask, big request, but can you imagine what would happen if you could get every ministry you're doing to be evangelistically focused? Oh, man, I'm telling you, you'd see explosion like you've never seen before. You would. I know you would. And we'll give you some examples here. As the Bible school goes, so goes the congregation. That's just a fact. The Bible school is a big part of the direction that the church is going. Why do we have Bible class? What are some answers that people typically would give? Why do we have Bible class? What would you say? What's that? Yeah, to teach the Bible, to learn the Bible. What else? Ma'am? Keep them out of the adult classes. Yeah, we have children's classes to keep them out of the adult classes. Why else do we have Bible school? To learn about God, right? Those are right. Yeah, to learn the Bible more, to learn about God. But why do we want to learn the Bible? Why do we want to learn more about God? Here's it. Why do we do that? So that we can lead people to Christ. It's all about that. It's all about that. Everything we do is to lead people to Christ. The ultimate purpose of getting to heaven and helping others to get there as well. Spiritual maturity, we want to learn the Bible, but that's not the end. That's not our ultimate goal here. Our ultimate goal is a means to make disciples. That's our ultimate goal. We want to lead people to Christ. The reason we learn the Bible is to not only better equip ourselves, but to do the ministry, to lead people to Christ. So even the Bible school program should be developed as an outreach. And I mean, it's not limited. Even our worship should be used as outreach. But that's a whole different lesson. So, but most of our Sunday school programs, and this is across the board, it's true, we are inwardly focused. You think about it. All the programs, activities, curriculum, they're focused almost exclusively on the personal concerns of existing Christians. I mean, that's our curriculum's designed for our kids, and without really thinking about those kids out there, because we're inwardly focused. We need to change that mentality to where we're looking outward. I was just talking to John a moment ago and I mentioned Bobby Bates. He said they're using Bobby Bates material for evangelism, and I think y'all have that too. Bobby made this observation years ago. Studies show that cold turkey door knocking produces one conversion for every 240 studies conducted, whereas the conversion rate for those who attend Bible class is 1 in 3. That's a crazy stat, isn't it? That is amazing. And you know what's mind-boggling to me? If we know that, why are we not doing it? You know, and I'm not knocking door knocking. That's not a good terminology. I'm not knocking door knocking. But our culture has changed, guys. I remember when door knocking was very productive, and it still is. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. We should do it. But I'm just saying our culture, our society is not the same as it used to be. And nowadays, you know, we used to talk to our neighbors across the cyclone fence. Y'all know what cyclone fence is? You know what I mean by that? You know, and now we have privacy fences. And some of them have 8-foot tall privacy fences. We close ourselves off. And so if somebody knocks on your door or rings the doorbell, what do? My wife and I look at each other and say, you expecting somebody? We're almost scared. Looking to say, have I got pants on? You know? I mean, am I properly dressed to open the door? Because it just doesn't. So unless you have a pizza in your hand when you knock on somebody's door, you're probably not welcome. That's just the culture we live in. It's different than it used to be. But, so I'm not saying we shouldn't door knock. I think it's still a valuable tool, just not in the way that it once was. But we have this opportunity to reach people through Bible class. I don't understand why we don't do it. We just don't do it. But I put this statement up there. When time as money is being spent in the program which is not contributing to the goal of making disciples, a reassessment of priorities need to be made. So we need to wrap our minds around that. That's another key to church growth. I mentioned a couple this morning earlier. Here's another one. Everything we do is to be the ultimate goal of leading people to Christ. You have to get that concept in your head. That's why we do everything we do. You vacuum this carpet, what's it for? To lead people to Christ. Everything is for that ultimate goal. That's why we do what we do. And so there's no unimportant jobs. Everything's important, but it's for the ultimate goal of leading people to Christ. And we need to design all of our efforts with that in mind. So we need a vision of how this is going to work. And I think this is key. Develop a vision. A dream without faith is simply fantasy. We talked about that, how important the faith is. And so your vision here should be something like, we want to double our Bible school enrollment. That's a good vision to have, a good goal to set. But you need to do that with faith, understanding, you know what? God can bless us with that. God can provide us with children and young people and adults. Adults go to Bible school too, to where our Bible school attendance can double in size. And I'm telling you, it can happen. When we did this at Burns, Tennessee, in the book, matter of fact, let me just mention that real quick. I have a few copies that I brought. Um, Actually, Freed Hardeman University carries this book in their bookstore at the university, and I brought these for Freed Hardeman to polish in the pulpit, and they didn't show up. So I've got these books now. But if you would like to get a copy of these, I think, how much are these on Amazon? Does anybody know? 12 or 14, yeah, something like that. I think it's $12.99, but I don't remember. But anyway, if you can buy these for 10. I'll sell these for 10 if anybody wants it. Okay, and so you save on shipping too, and all that, so to save you some money if you want to get one. But in the introductory part of this book, I talk about this church in Burns, Tennessee. There were these two ladies that always came early. I mean, they were the first ones there every Sunday. It was a mother-daughter, and the daughter was like 50 years old, so the older lady and her daughter. And so I said, boy, you know, God could really grow this church. I just know he can, and I want to see, I'm anxious to see what he's going to do here. And the daughter says, no. I've been going to this church all my life. It has always had 50 people, and it always will have 50 people. That's just the way it is. And I said, well, you know, maybe so, but you never know what God can do. Of course, I'm thinking, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're saying. You know, you're saying to God, God can't do it. But and that church just exploded in growth. We got the Bible school program going, and like I said, we were averaging a baptism every 3 days when I left there. I'll tell you in a minute. I'll get ahead of myself. I just want to share this story with you so bad. So you get this vision. You want to double the attendance of Bible school, and you need to make this known to the whole congregation. This is what we're going to do. We're going to really focus on our Bible school program here. And you want to promote it and encourage the members, and you want the whole congregation, and I hate to use the term buy in, because that's really not what I'm trying to convey, but you want everyone to believe and want to make it happen and pray about it. You want everybody praying about it and make a big deal out of it. Promote it in brochures, posters, bulletin boards, their announcements, talk it up, and get the whole congregation excited about that we are going to double our Bible school enrollment. And Chris will probably want to preach some sermons on, you know, what God can do and the power of God if we'll just do our part. But you have to have a plan, and so you can share the vision, but you need to put the plan together. A church without a plan is like a boat without a rudder. You have to have a plan. It's just not going to happen on its own. Well, this is why I mentioned the cultural changes. I said if you don't have a pizza in the hand, things are different. You look at those pictures. Y'all remember, what is that picture on the left? Y'all remember? Father knows best. That's right. That's right. You know, it was great. And look at the picture. Just the picture alone tells you, those two pictures tell you how we have changed as a culture. It is amazing to me, and I'm sure you've seen this too. You go to a restaurant, and you see an entire family sitting at a table, and they're all looking at what? Their phones. Every one of them. The daddy too. They're all looking at their phones. I'm like, wow, this is so different than what it used to be. You know, it's just a different culture. And so we have to understand that. We've got to do things differently than what we've done in the past. And that makes people uncomfortable. But times are changing. Our world is changing. And so we are constantly in need of adjusting how we do what we're supposed to do. Our mission is to share the gospel with the world. Well, we have to change the way we do things. And I know that's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable, but you see the definition of insanity? Continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results. If we keep doing things the way we've been doing, we cannot expect different results. You have to do something different in order to have different results. And so we're constantly growing and learning new ways of doing things. Now, what you cannot change, what is it we cannot change? The teachings of the Bible. Yeah, the Bible. We don't change that. And why would we? That's where the power is. That's where the power to change people's hearts is in the Word of God. So we cannot change that. But the Campbell soup story, you said that can of soup, is that Campbell soup sales were really going down. And by the way, it's some of the best soup there is on the market. I love Campbell soup. But the sales were really dropping. And so they brought somebody in to help them with that. And you know what the guy did? He said, this old can with the can opener thing, things are different now. And they started making these microwavable containers that you could microwave Campbell soup. And they also made these containers, like you buy Starbucks coffee. I don't because it's too expensive. But Starbucks coffee, those little styrofoam cups with a sippy. They started making those so you can drive down the road on the way to work or whatever and drink your Campbell soup through that. Sales immediately went up 8% right away. But guess what didn't change? The soup. The soup didn't change. It's still the same soup, but they changed the packaging of it. Well, that's what I'm talking about. We never want to change the Bible. We never do. You don't ever want to do that. That's not where the problem is. The problem is we don't want to be doing things the same old way. And, and that goes across the board. I'm starting to get off again. But our bulletins, anything you stamp Church of Christ on, it needs to be done right. It drives me nuts to get a church bulletin where the print is crooked or letters or words are misspelled or, the old mimeograph ones where some of the words were fading out. I'm like, don't put that out there. If you're going to put the Lord's name on it, it needs to be done right. And we need to have pride in what we're doing. We should be proud to be a member of the Lord's church. It needs to be done right. So we need to be doing things differently, and don't be afraid to think out of the box. And I'm telling you, this church growth through the Bible school program, at least in the Church of Christ, that's kind of a new thing. Not many churches are doing this. And so you might even get some criticism for it. But that's okay. I got written up. I've been written up a few times, actually. Been written up in Brotherhood Publications. And Brother James Meadows was a good friend of mine. He was the director of East Tennessee School of Preaching at the time that he passed away. But he told me, he said, "Hey, brother, I saw you got written up in a Brotherhood publication." I said, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." What was the accusation? Well, you were on a program with, I never can remember that guy's name. He was the president of David Lipscomb University. And so I said, "Wow, I don't know why I got." He said, "The only way you can avoid getting criticized is just don't do anything. If you're doing stuff, you're going to get criticized." Well, guess what? North Jefferson's going to get criticized. That's just the way it is. But you guys don't worry about that. That's just the devil trying to hinder your work. So don't be afraid to think out of the box. Do things differently. But don't do things unscriptural. We're not talking about that. But just our methods and how we present the gospel and all. We need to be willing to think out of the box. And so this is a little bit new. However, denominations have been doing it for decades. I don't know why even the bus program. You remember when we did the bus program? It was a big thing. You know where we got our buses? The Baptist Church was selling those because they were wore out on that. That's how it works. We're kind of behind a lot of times. But develop a strategy for this Bible school program. You want to reach people through the Bible school program. Develop a strategy. How are we going to get to where we want to be? So do y'all have Vacation Bible School here? Do you ever? On steroids. And isn't it awesome? It's a lot of work, though. I mean, when it's over, everybody's just wore out, right? But I tell you, I remember when I was growing up, when we'd have VBS, that one week was, we never had more kids than that week. That week we had so many kids come, and it was just awesome. And I remember I was reading the book the other day, just kind of thumbing through this section on church growth through Bible school. I forgot that I included in the book that when I was a kid at VBS, when you brought visitors, whoever brought the most visitors, you got a prize. And one of the elders had a paper sack, grocery sack, with a bunch of little knick-knack things in there. And I remember you get to reach in there and in front of the whole group, David Hamrick brought the most visitors tonight, and I was just a little fella. And so one of the elders brought that sack over, and I reached in there. I pulled out a toothbrush. I was so thrilled. No kid's thrilled about a toothbrush, but when it's a gift. And you know what? The reason I was thrilled is because I was being recognized for my work. That's all it was. I was just happy. I got the toothbrush. Ooh, I was all excited. But the thing is, I remember VBS was such an awesome week because all these kids were coming, and you know, you get a prize or you get a brought one button or something, you know, and all these kids that you don't ever see. And then when VBS is over, it's great, and we say to them, well, we'll see you next year. Hope you. We're going to do this every year. We do this. Hope you come back next year. That's what we would do. We'd tell them, I hope you come back next year. And I'm thinking, man, how wrong is that? No, not see you next year. See you next week. I mean, come back, you know, and follow up. Wouldn't it be great if we could just have VBS year-round? And I know some of you are thinking, oh, man, no way. I couldn't handle that. That'll wear you out, right? Because it is a lot of work, and it can wear you out. But you know what? That's what we did. That's exactly what we did. Now, we didn't do it on that high level of intensity because you'll burn out real fast. But that's kind of what we did at Burns, Tennessee, is have Bible VBS year-round. So you get all your teachers together, including the preacher and everybody else in a planning session. Now, it's really important to have your teachers, and so this is not just the elders and the preachers or elders and deacons or whatever planning this. You want to get your teachers in on the planning session because everybody's got a key role to play here. And every classroom, every teacher needs an assistant in that classroom as well to gather information. What that looks like is we had a clipboard that we gave each assistant, and it had several sheets of form on their information sheet. And the assistant, like if little Johnny came to visit your class, the assistant would say, now, Johnny, what's your name? And Johnny, you know, she did his name, his birthday, address, parents' name, all the information she could get from little Johnny, and would fill out that form. That's what the assistant would do. And then that assistant would give that information to the educational director or whoever's kind of over this, and that educational director would take that form and file that information, download it, however you want to do it. And then on Monday, the teacher or the assistant or both went to little Johnny's house and said, they knock on the door, they say, hello, I'm Jeff Watley from North Jefferson Church of Christ, and I just want you to know that we were thrilled to have Johnny in our class. He's such a good kid. You know, we really enjoyed having him, and just wanted to come by and tell you thank you for letting him come to our Bible class. And we hope that you'll let him come next week too. That all the kids enjoyed meeting him, and I think he had a good time. And the mom will say, he did have a good time. He came home telling all about Noah's Ark and all this stuff. And, you know, so then you say, well, we have classes for you too. We have Bible classes for you and your husband, or for you, whatever the situation is. And we'd love for you to come and be a part of that. Well, we go to such and such church, or we don't go anywhere, whatever the situation is. Then if you don't get much from that, ask, is there somebody we can pray for in your family? You know, my Uncle Bob has got cancer. I'd appreciate if you'd pray for him. Well, now you have a connection with that family. Now you have a reason to go back. If Johnny never comes back to Bible school, if they never show up, you have a connection with them, and you can go back a couple of weeks later and say, we've been praying for your Uncle Bob. How's that going? Is he okay? You know, well, you're going to get good news or bad news. Either one, you've got a connection with that family. So we'll continue to pray. Is there something else can we help your family in any way? You see what's happening? And if Johnny never comes back, you've got his information. And when Johnny's birthday comes around, those kids in that class are going to write a birthday card to Johnny, and they're all going to sign it. You're going to mail it to Johnny. And when you have a gospel meeting, you're going to send that invitation to Johnny's family. When you have anything going on at this congregation, you contact Johnny's family. You see what you're doing? You're making connections with these people in the community. And when tragedy strikes, they're going to be looking for somebody to turn to. Guess who's going to be in their head? North Jefferson Church of Christ. That's just key to reaching out to that community. But so that's kind of how that works. And on Monday, the teachers call and you give feedback. So if Jeff and whoever is his assistant goes and visits this family and they say, you know, we'd like to know more about the Church of Christ. Well, then whoever's the director over the education program, whoever you put in charge of this, Jeff will come back and say, hey, Johnny's family is interested in the Bible study. Well, now you've got people that you've trained that can conduct Bible studies. Now they follow up with that. And Jeff will help because he knows this family now and get them connected. So Jeff doesn't have to, the Bible school teacher doesn't have to conduct the Bible study. You've got other people that can do that. And they'll help with that. And you'll begin to reach people that way. And if somebody doesn't show up, then the teacher call on all absentees every week. You call them and check on them and see how they're doing, make sure they're not sick or whatever. So as far as participants, you know, where do we begin, when, and with whom? That's important. The people that you choose to teach, to even serve as assistants, the people you choose to kind of be the director over this education part, it's really important who you choose. Because everybody needs to be dedicated to what we're doing. Everybody needs to be dedicated. Now, this is a much larger congregation than what we were. At Burns, we had like 60 people. And so we did have enough Bible school teachers, but we didn't have enough to have an assistant too. So we used our teenagers. We got some of the young people to come and serve as an assistant. So they came to the planning session too. We told them, okay, you've been chosen to help with this, and here's what your job is. And so everybody had a job. People had a job with the visitation. People had a job following up to conduct Bible studies and that kind of thing. And so it's really important to choose who you want to have doing what, that you have people that are responsible. So here's just a list of some of the participants in this. You've got the teachers and their assistants. You've got inviters. You know what that is? People that are inviting kids and young people to come to Bible class, and adults. We had somebody at Rio Vista just 2 weeks ago brought her neighbor to Bible class and worship. She's new. She just recently moved there. And so I said, Peggy, who do you have with you? And she said, this is Bobby so-and-so. She just recently moved here, and I invited her to come. And so she came. We got her information. We're following up on that. But that's what you want, inviters. So people that will invite kids and young people and all, grandparents, everybody involved in bringing their grandkids to bring them to Bible class. You've got Uber moms. You know what that is? I'll pick them up. You know, I've got a van. I've got room in my car. We'll go pick up those kids. You know, so you've got people that do that will be happy to go and pick up people and give rides. You've got decorators. By that I mean people that will help the classroom be decorated. You want it to look nice. And I can see you guys are really into that here, which is good. I mean, it looks so nice. You've done a great job. But that's an important role. You know, not everybody's a teacher. I understand that. Not everybody's a preacher. Not everybody's a song leader. But everybody can do something. So you've got decorators. You've got prayer warriors. You know, every time you get up and make announcements, emphasize this Bible school drive and pray for it. And ask everybody to remember it in their prayers. We even made up little prayer cards. You know, the cards that you bend in half and they can stand up, and they put it on their kitchen table. Pray for whatever it is. And so if it's Bible school, pray for that. Give them out. Everybody put them on the kitchen table, and every time they pray for that. It's a reminder to pray for it. Head counters. So let's say, since I don't know anybody's name, I'll pick on Garth. So Garth is going to be the head counter. So Garth's job during Bible class is to go to each one of the classrooms and count how many students are in that class. And then also the assistant will make this information. We have 4 visitors today. We have 4 visitors. And so Garth will make note of that. And they go to another class, we have 5 visitors today. So he'll make note of that. And then when you do the announcements in worship, so let's say brother song leader, what's your name? Mike. So Mike, let's say Mike's making announcements. And Mike gets up and he's making announcements. He said, oh, by the way, today Sister A's Bible class had the most visitors today. The 3rd and 4th grade class had 5 visitors today. So now I don't know how y'all feel about this. We applauded. We applauded. It's not worship yet. We hadn't started worship. So we applauded that Bible class. Said, good job. Y'all did a great job. And then whoever brought the most visitors, they got something. We gave them something. But everybody who brought a visitor got a brought one button every week. So we had tons of those. Everybody got a brought one button that brought a visitor. You see what we're doing? Same thing like VBS. And the teacher encouraged the students. Now don't forget, next week, bring a visitor. We were only one short this week. We had the third and fourth graders beat us by one. Let's see if we can have more visitors next week. You see, you're motivating those kids to bring visitors. And you do the follow-up on that. So you've got the head counters that check and make the records of who's doing what. Mentors in worship. Now, if y'all have ever done the bus program, you know that you end up with a lot of kids with no parents. And so it's really important that parents volunteer to let a kid sit with them. So you want to do that because you're going to get kids. There's going to be kids that have never been to Bible class in their life. They've never gone to worship before. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to act. One kid got his arm stuck. Do y'all have book racks for the songbook? One kid got his arm stuck in there and was crying, screaming. You know, well, we just had to stop worship and help him get his arm out, you know. They don't know how to act. And so we need parents that are willing to say, you know, little Susie can sit with us, you know, that kind of thing. The youth minister is going to get busier. He's going to get busy. Now he's got more kids to work with. It's important that he realizes that. He's going to have a lot more to do and work with them. We need card writers for visitors, for birthday cards, for whatever, to stay in touch with these people. Evangelists, and that means people that are ready to conduct Bible studies with people. And we did all of that. Did you know while I was in Burns, Tennessee, I was living in Nashville, and this was in Dixon County, so it was about a 45-minute drive. I was a full-time student in graduate school, and I had a full-time job to support myself while I was in school, and I preached for Burns Church of Christ. The only time they saw me was Sunday and Wednesday. That's it, because that's all I had was Sunday and Wednesday. So I didn't do any of this. I organized it and helped them get it started, and I try to encourage and promote and all of that. But the members are the ones that were doing the work. And so we had members that we taught them how to conduct Bible studies. We actually used the Open Bible Study method. Are y'all familiar with that? OBS. Used that, and it's really easy to do. So members were prepared, and they were able to do these Bible studies. But we had encouragers, you know. We had people literally. We had a guy that went from class to class every Sunday morning. Before it started, he would go in and say, Sister A, you doing all right? Yeah, we're doing fine. Well, I just want, good job, keep it up. Man, you already got kids in here. It's not even time. Yeah, you know, just go around and encourage the Bible school teachers. And we had cleanup crew because all these kids, we had trash and all this. We had people that would clean up. We had people that helped promote it and that knew about advertising. And back then, we didn't really have Facebook, so we would promote it mostly with printed materials and things. But we were promoting Bible school and encouraging people to come. And all the director of education, we had a guy that was kind of over all of that. But this is how we kicked it off. We kicked it off with what we called Bible School Goal Day. And by that, what we would do, let's say that you average, we averaged back then about, I don't know, probably 25 in Bible class, 20 maybe, something like that. So we set our goal to have 40 in Bible class, or 35, I don't remember the number. But we set a goal to get that many kids there that first Sunday to kick it off. And so we said, man, you get your neighbor's kids, you get your grandkids, you get anybody's kids you can. You get them and bring them to Bible school. And we'll feed them too. We have lunch together, and we'll feed them, and you celebrate that. And that's when you give the brought one buttons and all this stuff. You kick it off that day, and you set a goal. And then from that Sunday on, you do this every week. And just celebrate it. Make it a big deal. Have a lot of fun with it. And let me just say this before I'm almost done. this was our second year at Burns when we did this. And like I said, we had 60 all that time. And we did some other things that really created excitement. We had a special contribution to buy a church van. We needed $3,000. And this is kind of along the promoting idea. We got some butcher paper and put up behind the pulpit and drew power lines, like telephone poles. And then we had dates on each one of those telephone poles. And the last date was the giving day for the church van. And someone made a little church van that you could take off and move it to the next telephone pole. So for 5 weeks, people could see that van moving to the day. And I think our goal was $3,000, and our contribution averaged about $500 a week. It was really not much. And anyway, so did the same thing. We preached about giving, encouraged them and all that. And they could see that van. Everybody saw it. The next Sunday is coming. Next Sunday is going to be it. And so same thing, people pouring out change and all that. And so I'm preaching. We had communion and contribution before the sermon. And I'm preaching away that Sunday morning. I'm right at the peak of my lesson. Everybody's just really zeroed in there listening. And all of a sudden I notice everybody's looking over here. So what are they looking at? Oh, what's the guy's name? His name slips me now. The song leader also was one of the guys that counted the money. He was posting the contribution on the board. Y'all remember the boards that we put the attendance and all that? Well, he was putting numbers up during my sermon because he was so thrilled that we gave more than $3,000. We got more than enough to buy the van. And so I just stopped preaching. I looked over there. Kenny was his name. And I said, well, Kenny, we must have had a good day. He said, we gave over $5,000 or whatever it was. And everybody's like, yeah, amen, you know. And so my sermon changed. Well, okay, I forget this sermon. Let's preach about that a second. And so we did. But that's one way we promoted it, was with the telephone poles and the vans. So you really want to promote this idea and use all social media that's available. And I wanted to kind of conclude with this. Preachers are the spark plug. So, Chris, I put on here, he should be an active cheerleader. You don't have any cheerleading outfits, do you? Okay. But really, you're in the pulpit more than anybody else. You speak to the congregation more than anybody else, and Jeff has many opportunities as well. And so both of you guys really need to encourage, promote, push these people to do this. Have it before them all the time. Encourage them. And when you do have a great day like the giving or the Bible school goal day, man, ride that wave as long as you can. Pat them on the back every week. Say, you know, man, last week we did this. Or a couple of weeks ago, remember when this happened? And then even a few weeks later, you're preaching along and say, you remember when we had that day and you guys did? Ride that wave and encourage them. Somebody says, as the pulpit goes, so goes the pew. And that's true. So let me tell you what happened at Burns, and then we'll bring this to a close. We grew so much. We had, one Friday we had open house where the kids would get up. Well, first parents could come and look at the Bible class and see what the kids had done, what artwork they did or what projects they did. It was on the wall. It was displayed in the classroom. And parents would come to see what their child had done. Some of these parents are not Christians, but they wanted to come to open house for see what their child has done. And the kids would get up. It was Friday night. We got the little ones would get up, and they would sing a song or would read a scripture or something like that, or tell what they learned in Bible school or something. And parents would bring their video cameras. You know, if you want to reach somebody, go through their children. You show attention to their children, you're gonna tap into that heart. Now, let me warn you, some of these moms are going to come not dressed properly. You know, things like that are going to happen. That's okay. Don't panic. You know, I was talking to Garth about, I panicked when I was a really young preacher. I panicked when that happened. Oh, elders, you need to do something about that. No. you know. So, but those are just kind of growing pains. But people would come, and every time you get a visitor, follow up on that. Don't just say, hey, glad you're here, hope you come back. No. Get their information, you follow up, do the best that you can. But we ended up outgrowing that building really fast. I mean, it just started blossoming. And here's what was neat about it. You know, people that we asked to help, they weren't really interested until we start growing and the excitement starts building. And in that building, we'd have to get up, whoever's leading singing or making announcements, to tap on the microphone. Hey, I hate to get you. I know you're having a good time, but we need to get started because it's so loud in there. Everybody's excited. And greeting visitors and meeting visitors. And you guys need to know this. If a visitor comes in here, every one of you in this room, every one of you need to go to that visitor and introduce yourself. I mean it. Every one of you do it. Don't say, well, that's Garth's job. Or that's Jeff's job. Or that's Chris's job. No, it's not. Yeah, good. Good. You know, people appreciate that. They appreciate that. And you say, hey, we are so glad you're here. Hey, I know the Cowboys are not doing so good, but they're playing tonight. We're going to watch them tonight. Y'all want to come over? You know, you're welcome to come to our house. Or we're going out to eat over at Rose's or whatever. You're welcome to join us if you want. Do that. You'll be surprised. Some of them will say yes. Most of them will say, oh, no, because they're scared to death. They don't know who you are, you know. But it makes an impact. And so just really be a welcoming congregation. Every church, and I do these church growth seminars all over the place, I have never gone to a church that didn't think they were the friendliest church in town. Everybody thinks they're the friendliest church. You know what the truth of the matter is? They're friendly to each other. But when a visitor comes, a visitor can stand back there on that back wall and not a single person talking to them. Because y'all are busy talking to each other over here. You got your group over here. And, yeah, we're friendly to each other. But that guy standing back there doesn't know anybody. And, you know. And I know it's just something you don't realize is going on. Because I'm that way after services. You know, there's certain people I really like to talk to. And I'm drawn to them. But you cannot ignore your visitors. You tend to them first. And then you can stand around and chew the fat with your brethren. But anyway, we grew so fast. And we outgrew the facility pretty quick. And so we had to rent, you know those trailer houses that they put on construction sites for offices? That's what we got. We rented one of those trailers and put it outside the church building for additional classroom space. And literally, guys, I mean, we really were baptizing somebody every 3 days. I was doing weddings for people I didn't know, you know, because they were brand new converts. It was an amazing thing. And I hated to leave, but I told them, when my time was up at Lithcomb, I'm going back to Texas. And that was my plan, and I did. I came back to Texas, but I hated to leave because things were going so well. But just some closing thoughts. And now, you know, all that's in the book pretty much. It's in the book. So, you know, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But you get the gist of it. It was kind of like VBS every week, but it wasn't so. Once you get it started, it's not that much work, really. But the key is you got to follow up on those visitors. You know, if it's not a teacher or an assistant, somebody needs to go to little Johnny's house and welcome his family and encourage them to come to come visit with you. Closing considerations. Okay. Anybody want to tell me what is the number one? This is from a visitor's point of view. What's the number one reason? And I put joining a church. I know we don't use that terminology, but the world does. What is the number one reason for people that are not Christians to join a church? Anybody got any ideas? Do what? Their friends go there. That's good. Social part? Yeah. You're right. You know, most people say the preaching. That's not it. That's not it. Some of the best growing churches have a lousy preacher. I'm not saying you, Chris. But I'm just joking. They're good. I shouldn't say that. Just that, you know, he's a good preacher, but not like, oh, I can't wait to hear what he's going to say again. That kind of. But they're growing anyway. And the number one reason is they made me feel accepted as I am. What you said, the social aspect. make them welcomed. Make them feel welcomed. It doesn't matter if their hair's green. It doesn't matter if they have their, piercing in their eyebrows and their nose or whatever, or they're tattooed up. And, love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't say unless their hair's green. It doesn't say that. We have to welcome people and make them feel welcomed. And I put on their greeters. It's good to have people that at each doorway to welcome people as they come in, give them a welcome packet that tells them about the church and that kind of thing. Have signs that direct where to go, because I know it's easy for you, but they don't know where to go. They don't know where restrooms are. They don't know where Bible classes are. They don't know anything. All they know is what's in that little room right there. So make sure you have signs that give them direction and where they can go. Be there to help. If somebody comes in with a child, introduce yourself and say, who is this? Well, this is Michael. How old is Michael? He's 7. Oh, okay. Well, Michael, you'll go to this classroom. You want me to show you where your classroom is? Yeah, please. Well, Michael goes, you take them. Don't point like they do at Walmart. Hey, you go in aisle 5. Don't do that. You take them to that Bible class and then introduce Michael to that teacher. You see, make them feel at home. Make them feel welcome. That's just really, really important. Worship ought to be a celebration. I got this from Ira North. He said, do away with the funeral atmosphere. I mean, seriously. I have been, and I know you have too. You visit congregations where, don't ever do this, Mike. Turn to number 346. Swiftly we're turning life's day. That's a great song, isn't it? But there's nothing swift about that. And don't do that. And I always tell the song leader, please don't lead a really slow, drag before I get up there. It's my job to put them to sleep, not yours. So, but it needs to be a celebration. You get up and you say, good morning, church. Man, it's great to see you guys. Isn't it good to be here? That's the kind of attitude you need to have and portray. Whether you're making announcements are hard. I'd rather preach than make announcements. That's hard. I don't like doing that. But you got to try to make them even we got a guy, bless his heart. We have a different announcement every Sunday. A different guy do it. We got one guy's a really good man, but he said, okay, if we have any visitors, we're glad you're here. There's restrooms back over there. I don't think we have any visitors. And there's like 3 of them over there. We're like, hey, yeah, we got, oh, yeah, there's some visitors there. That, and I'm like, be alive, at least be alive, And so, and we're having a family and friends day November 12th. We encourage everybody to bring their family, bring friends, and we're going to have lunch together November 12th. And this is how he announced it. And the friend day thing is November 12th. And then we got someone so sick. And I'm like, don't just pass over that. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Don't forget, guys. Don't forget, November 12th. That's only 3 weeks away. Be sure to invite your family and your friends. We're going to have lunch together. It's going to be a great day. And I want you to make a list of people you can... See, that's how you announce it. You don't just say, November 12th. You see, we got to get away from the funeral atmosphere. And even communion is a celebration. It's a celebration. Sure, it's a serious thing that Jesus died on the cross and that he was crucified. It's a serious thing, but even that should be a celebration. We should be thankful for it. We should be thankful for it. And so worship needs to be a celebration. We need to do away with the funeral atmosphere. And as I said earlier, even materials need to be first class. Church growth is a process. It's not an event. And I was telling Jeff the other day on the phone, and I would share this with Chris and Garth and whoever else that teaches and preaches at this congregation. We do not preach and teach to share information. You're not sharing what you studied that week. You're not sharing this with your students or your congregation. We need to preach and teach in a way to change their life. It's different. That's different. Preach and teach in a way that will change their life. And during the banquet, I'm going to address the teachers about that. But That's really important, to look at your material that you're teaching and look at it and say, now, how does this affect my listeners? What does that mean to, yeah, that's great that Noah built an ark, but what in the world does that have to do with me? You see, make it relative to them. Make it applicable to them. And because you're changing the mindset or attitude of the church. You know, that's what I told you in the earlier session. It's so frustrating to me to know what God can do, to know what God wants to do, and for you to sit there and say, it's always been 50, it always will be 50. We are miles apart, you and I. You see, I want you to change from saying it's always been 50 and it always will be to saying, you know what, I think maybe God can do something here. That's the mentality you want to develop. So it takes time. It's a process. And even after the church is growing, it is a process that you're maintaining constantly, looking for new ways to do new things, to get more people involved, to get new people involved. When you get new Christians, do not make the mistake that most people do. Let them tell them, oh, we're so glad you're here. You know, welcome to the family. They sit down, now we go to the next person. No, you're going to lose that person if you do that. Get them plugged in. And boy, I wish I had time to tell you all that. But there's a good program called Welcome to the Family to get them plugged into to the work. So it's a constant process. It's not just a single thing. But you know that sigmoid curve, what will happen is you will grow and you'll reach a peak and then it'll start going down. Well, that's time to, okay, we need to reassess what we're doing and let's get something else going here and get people working. And so it's just constantly working and developing new ministries and having ministry fairs and things like that. It's just, it's not necessarily process driven, but it's a mindset. We're working, we're reaching out. So you want the entire congregation to be soul conscious. You want everybody, when they go to the grocery store, they don't see that cashier as a cashier. They see them as a soul. That's what you want your members to see, that person as a soul. And invite them to worship, invite them to Bible class, maybe even buy their groceries. If somebody's short and they say, that'll be $12, all I have is 10, well, put that back. No, I'll get that for you. When you see an opportunity, you jump on it, and you help a person that needs help, and then you invite them to North Jefferson Church of Christ. And just be soul conscious. That's key. Okay, does anybody have any questions or anything before we stop? If you do, we can talk later. But thank you for your kind attention, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see what God's going to do here at North Jefferson. Thank you.
I never cease to marvel.
Okay.
We're up close here. Well, I've just got, we can get this mic on, I appreciate it. So I just got some announcements. To be back there has been in here as well. It is just an extension of what we're trying to do. So if you're not on the list to be staying with a lunch, I'll tell you right, I have watched my mother-in-law spend 3 weeks on what y'all are going to eat today. She has planned this, not the food. That came later. That came yesterday and today. She has planned this. Jeff has sweated the brow, been right at her side all the way along through it, his brow. We have a tremendous lunch back there, but we have a tremendous group of people that are going to be back there to have it with you. We would love it if you just kind of take that next step and join us if you aren't already. What's happening is we are going to be celebrating our teachers. The excitement is that there has been so much, and I've been giving thumbs up, we're ready to go back there. We have so much to share with you about our teachers and whatnot, but what I do want to share with David is Chris and Jeff and myself and our deacons, we've been setting the foundation for what we've been talking about today. John, with your congregation, we have been doing that with you already. If we have not portrayed that to everyone, it's because we're not at that level to go to the next step, but we are very close. And this effort began 2 years ago when I met this young man at Polishing the Pulpit. I came home and said, this is what we're going to do. And I kind of blew hell out of the water because he said, what are we doing? And I said, start reading this book. This is what we're going to do. And I got the deacons on it. I got the evangelists. And I just photocopied these pages. And I said, this is what we're going to be doing. And it's coming. And so we're excited about evangelism here. We want everybody that sits in this pew to be a disciple. And if you don't feel it, you're not feeling it, because that's what we want. And we want to carry that into our appreciation today, because that's where it's going to start. It starts with the work. Your evangelists are your last persons to should be out there evangelizing, bringing patients or people into this congregation. Patients, yeah, to my office. It is you. That's where the evangelism starts. We're going to set the groundwork, but I've read your book, front to back, 10 times back and over. It's highlighted. The pages are worn out. All I want you to know is it works, because he's showed us and he's talked about it. He's lived it, and I believe we can do it too. I lived it when I was 5 to 10 years old. I lived it. I lived his book. He didn't know it. So we're going to ask you if you would join us for the dinner. Thank you very much. Did that wonderful job. I knew you would. And we're excited because he has a grandson, Owen, that came on Monday, and he's over in Pittsburgh, and he's going to get to see his grandkids this afternoon. His wife's coming in. I don't know when she's arriving. Okay, this afternoon. Okay, so hopefully she'll have a safe trip as well. So please come and join us. We're ready to start. We'll pray when we get back there. Jeff's got those procedures. He's gonna run that back there, and I know they're ready to go, and I do not want to upset my mother-in-law, so let's get going.